All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal Emac coming to you on a Saturday evening here. I'm joined by one Chris Spags as we get ready for a 4-game featured slate here. DraftKings FanDuel aligning everything tonight. It's a compressed slate, 2 at 7, 2 at 8. Looks like we have all but one crucial piece of news, plus whatever surprises are awaiting us from the association. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm glad to be here. It's a fine Saturday, wrapping up the week of NBA for me. Tomorrow I will be on Live Before Lock for the NFL show, so we can regroup for that tomorrow. But I feel like last week we had the Luka Doncic slate where it seemed like he was the most obvious play in the world, and he was for the 3 quarters that he played until the Hawks blew him, the Lakers, off the court. So I can't wait to see what magic awaits with a questionable Nikola Jokic right now, a somewhat shorthanded Nuggets team. They have enough guys to fill in, but missing 2 key starters. So things get weird tonight. The first game of the slate, Mac, is a 17.5-point spread. So it's a little bit teetering on dumpster fire already.
And it's the road team favored by 17 to 17.5, which just makes it that much better. All right, well, let's just kind of start in here. We have 4 games. We're going to have plenty of time to go through each of them, call out the injuries, because we've got some deep hidden gems. Well, I don't know if they're worthless gems or actual generational wealth type gems, but there's some names I did not expect to see in our projections today. So starting off with Oklahoma City, they are in Charlotte taking on the Hornets, who played last night in Milwaukee, losing in overtime. They got waxed in overtime. I think it was like 18-5 in overtime, but they did take Milwaukee to overtime, which good on them. LaMelo Ball out. He had missed 5 games, I believe, coming into that one with an ankle issue. Conventional word on the street was he was going to play one of the 2 games. We just didn't know which one. As soon as he played last night, you could all but write him out here. We've got Ryan Kalkbrenner, who was away from the team for the birth of his wife, giving birth to their first child. That he stayed in Charlotte last night, but since the team's back in Charlotte for this one, he will be playing tonight. KJ Simpson was someone who is bubbling up just a little bit, but that's a name we've heard. So we got to keep that in mind. But otherwise, Brandon Miller out for a while with that shoulder issue. On the other side, Aaron Wiggins remains out. I believe this is like his 5th game that he has missed with an adductor strain. Both Jalen Williamses are out. The stellar Jalen Williams, who helped the team win the title last year, he has not yet played. Jalen with the Y Williams, he was someone I was ready to play on DraftKings this morning. That's not going to happen since he is out. You do have Lugens Dort coming back. He had missed about a week with, I want to say it was a shoulder subluxation or something along those lines. What do you want to do with our magical 17-point game spread here?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting some pieces here, not the major ones for OKC. And, certainly I feel like if you are going to play Con Knipple, who's going to be owned? We're going to play Trey Mann, who's not super owned. If you're going to play multiple, especially Miles Bridges, I would say, if you're going to play Hornets, start to think more about playing an SGA or a Holmgren. They don't project super well, but certainly if this game is competitive, which I don't think many people are going to expect, you would then have a lot more upside for an SGA, for a Holmgren, for a Hartenstein, I suppose, if things were competitive here. But it is a 17.5-point spread on the road, like we talked about. Emac, I know you're a veteran of the space. If we're flipping this for a home game, Thunder by 24.5, like how much?
It's going to be. They rarely do. Spreads rarely get to the mid-teens. The upper teens are almost once a decade. I can't remember. I'm sure there's been some 20-point spread or 19.5 or something, but crossing over that Rubicon could be a little bit tough, if only because of massive 3-point variance. And that would be the only thing that could keep this game close. But again, who thought Charlotte was going to take the game to overtime yesterday? I certainly didn't, as I went to bed at 8:34. So.
Well, they also, the entire team, I believe it was yesterday, or it might have been the day before, but went to the Knipple house. Like the entire team went, and it was like apparently like a really big thing for Knipple's family to have his NBA teammates come over as opposed to his previous high school or college teammates or whatever. So, maybe they have the vibes to get it going here. But it is a massive underdog spot for Charlotte. Obviously, I think you'd expect the bench guys to get a little bit more action. Trey Mann with no LaMelo Ball overall out there. I'm willing to take that shot a little bit. I've got 21%. The field has 9. Knipple's really the only starting Hornet I'm playing because it does feel like he's not going to play in a blowout, but he might play a little bit deeper into the game with his sort of new high usage role where he's actually getting pretty much dead even in usage on the year with Miles Bridges, which is crazy. Miles Bridges hates giving up shots, but Knipple's out there getting shots up. 17% ownership for the field. I'm getting 31 there right now. And Diabate, I'm taking a pretty decent swing at. I got 29%. Fields at 7. You have Kalkbrenner back in. That's not great. But, new dad, who knows how tired he may be from that or the emotions, whatever. But I think Diabate, a good play after he was super chalk yesterday with Kalkbrenner out. Now he's back to his usual role off the bench where it seems like a decent value with the price tag, not really up for his 1 day of chalk. But the Thunder side, Emac, is there anything you're getting here? Because I can make the case a little bit for AJ Mitchell, but nobody else here. It looks particularly great. Isaiah Joe, Carlson. I feel like there's maybe something on the OKC side that you're getting more than I am.
Yeah, and so I'm just quickly going to go through it. I switched over here to our projections page. So Miles Bridges, he played just over 40 minutes last night. Knipple played just over 40 minutes last night. So who knows what's going to happen with those guys tonight? They could have tired legs. Maybe they do hit the bench if this game gets completely out of hand by midway through the third quarter. Kalkbrenner did not play last night. Most of Diabate did play a ton. Those guys are going to essentially split the center minutes. So you got to worry about the early night more so than normal, just because of the way the game played out last night. When we turn our attention, and I'll do the Sims, but I had some trouble with my tech, so I want to make sure we get through it on the last show I did. So I want to make sure I get through the. You luckily didn't have to do that. It was a Linquist that had to carry me. In case it tears my computer apart, I want to make sure we get the analysis in before then. But we'll have plenty of time, and I don't think it'll be an issue because there's only 8 teams in the player pool as opposed to what we were running last Thursday. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would have had more appeal if we started losing the superstars. Aside from Jokic, we don't. We've got word that Reeves and Doncic, etc., and Giannis are available tonight. So that sort of makes it a little tricky to get to Gilgeous-Alexander. You can see we've projected him for just under 30 minutes. We're not expecting big run. That's still enough to get him up to 50 fantasy points. At some point, the raw points do matter, but it's less with him just because he's got like the double whammy going against him, except for he didn't play last night, which is the one advantage he has over Giannis and the 2 Lakers. So salt to taste. He's not a bad play, but I'm not really going after him. Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein, I'd be really surprised if either one goes over 25 minutes. Not shocked, but a little bit surprised just given the nature of this game. I like AJ Mitchell. That is FanDuel. He's got a much better price on FanDuel. DraftKings, neutral play, but we're starting to run out of people. And then down at the bottom, if you're looking for a super cheapie, here's one of the names I did not expect to see tonight, and he has come up in some of my Sims, Brandon Carlson. So he is like the backup center, and with or I guess he's the 4th center technically, because let's say that for sure Holmgren and Hartenstein are ahead of him, even though they start together. And then Jalen Williams with the Y is ahead of him. We'll probably see him 15 minutes today, maybe. At the pure minimum, that starts to become a little bit intriguing. A little bit. Costs us the center spot, so this is DraftKings only. But he's the one guy that I said I'm really going to have him in some of my lineups today, which I didn't think so this morning because I figured one of the other stars would be sitting tonight.
He's not super exciting as a play overall. I mean, in terms of the fantasy upside, like as a big man, if you get those guys, Paul Reed yesterday didn't quite pay off, but he's the kind of guy that steps in and, you kind of assume you're going to get a lot of rebounds, a shot at a double-double, some peripherals and all that. Carlson's not a bad producer at 0.86 fantasy points per minute this year so far, but only 16% usage, 14% rebound rate. So I'm above the field on him too, Emac in my top 150. So like I got the same stance, but I do think for him, he's one of those players where, it's possible he doesn't even really play minutes. Like they could just split the minutes with Holmgren and Hartenstein playing center if they really want to, or they just play him a little bit and he doesn't get a ton of run. Would not like lock him in and go crazy, but there is, a good 15 minutes to go around from not having Jalen Williams in, Jalen with a Y in. So the Carlson play makes sense, but it's one of those where like if he's 50% owned, I would just be like, well, find a value anywhere else we possibly can.
Yeah, exactly. But a name to call out just because it is crazy. It's crazy. So he played at, I'm going to say Utah, undrafted free agent. I don't even know if he ended up playing abroad or went on a mission of some sort or what have you, since he didn't get picked up until last year by the Thunder as a 25-year-old, it looks like. So this tonight, if he plays, it'll be, I think, his 39th or 40th career NBA game over the last 2 years. So that is what happens on these short slates. Those are the people we are going to talk about. Let's go to game number 2 here. That is going to be Toronto at Indiana, or in Indiana, going against the Pacers. Pacers, of course, are without Mathurin, Nesmith, who could be done for the year, but they haven't said that yet. Halliburton, Furphy, Quentin Jackson, those guys are all out. Cam Jones, he's out. On the Toronto side, most everybody is healthy. We've got Colin Murray-Boyles in, Akbaji. I don't know why I tried to go after his first name. I always just call him Akbaji.
You got it mostly right. You just didn't have enough confidence in it. You just needed to get through it with your chest puffed out.
Because I realized I was not changing the screen. That's why Greg Ehrenberg is so good at this. He's able to do all this while talking. But you've got the big 3 here in Toronto now. Technically the big 4 almost. You got Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, and RJ Barrett. Each of those guys is averaging right around 20 points. I think by the time we get done with injuries and things like that, all 3 of them are going to end the season with a 20-point or better average. Barrett is, I think he's at 19.2 or 19.4. He's the guy who's just under. The other 2 are barely over 20. I don't think either one hit 21 yet. But the challenge with these guys is, plus let's include Emmanuel quickly. A lot of people to share the ball with. A lot of redundant skill sets in that several of them are capable passers. A lot of them are capable scorers. You know, someone's going to have a good game every time. 2 of them are going to be neutral, and one's probably going to have a bad game. What does that mean? Well, not all of them are going to have great games each time. And we've seen their salaries relatively stable for what we have, because this will be the 3rd game back for Jakob Bertel, who's also available, and he's played 29 minutes each of the last 2 games. But we look like we almost, Spags, have a legitimate team in Toronto, something we have not seen since the days of Pascal Siakam. It's a remember me game. Fred Van Elite and Kawhi Leonard. I'm curious your take on Toronto. I'm okay getting one of these, one of the big 3 in every lineup. Zero issue with that tonight. I'd be okay with 2. I'm hesitant getting 3. I just don't know that there's enough offense to go around.
Yeah, I think the tough part with Toronto, and this has been my biggest issue with them, is like I think they're pretty good. I mean, the fact they were able to beat Cleveland recently, I think kind of speaks to that, even though Cleveland's been sort of in and out with the guys they've had, getting injured, missing games and all that. But for Toronto, I think the hardest part for me is that they don't ever project super well. Like Barnes, to me, looks like the best. He's averaging 1.32 fantasy points a minute. Ingram is at 1.06 so far this year. Barrett's at 1.03. Quickly's at 1.02. Pirtle is really low at 0.93. These guys are all, to me, like functionally the same play in terms of fantasy points a minute. They score in different ways and all of that. But like Barnes is the one where he's the one that puts up 65 when he's like, locked in, the game kind of goes the way it's supposed to. These other guys have the ability to spike as well, but the projection's not really there. Like I have Ingram as a 4.3x value today. Barrett is 4.4. Quickly looks okay at 4.8, but not that everything is the traditional 5x value that we used to all swear by in NBA DFS, but that is still a bar I want these guys to pass, and none of them do pass it. The total's high, and Indiana's really bad. Like that Phoenix game the other night, it cost me so much switching from Dylan Brooks and Yusuf Nurkic to Nick Richards and Siakam, and I had to watch Siakam just be absolutely awful in that game versus Phoenix. He put up 19 points, I think, but it was a really ugly 19. He's not playing as well as he did to start the year. Indiana, the only guy I think who's playing well right now is Nembhard, and TJ McConnell for as little as he plays. So I have some concern that Toronto could just destroy him, but the spread is, only 6.5 on the road. So I think for Toronto, you want to take your tournament shots here. That's fine. The only guy I got appreciably is Jamal Shed because he's a value. But Toronto, you could have somebody spiking every night for them because they really do have talented guys, and the usage on a given night can flow to one of them more than the others.
Yeah. So what I want to I'm showing here on FanDuel, this is just from our projections page, looking at small forward. Now, FanDuel has damn near look at all the people on FanDuel that have multi-position eligibility. That's pretty new. They've had multi-position eligibility for a long time, but they didn't give it to everybody. DraftKings is bringing it back. They're playing it close to the vest. FanDuel's like, we're going to take that spot in the market. We're going to have more flexibility. But look at our small forwards it gets a little dicey, right? Anthony Edwards, all right, fine, no problem. Austin Reeves, back-to-back. But yeah, he's looking okay. Then you get Toronto, Miles Bridges coming off a 40-minute night. Toronto, Knipple coming off a 40-minute night. Jaden McDaniels, woohoo, go University of Washington Huskies, but he's not an offensive player. And then Kyle Kuzma is offensive in that he is an affront to all of us in DFS, but he had a good game. What do you have, like five stocks or something like that? There's a lot of Toronto people. The blue site is going to be playing the guys in blue. There's just no way around it. I don't think, when you look at what else is left of your small forward option. So again, big difference between DraftKings and FanDuel. I'm playing both sides tonight, so we'll see how that shakes out. But that was the biggest call out I had was, that's why they're all coming into my lineups. They all have small forward eligibility amongst their multi-positional eligibility. Ooh, our other choices are a little they'll have a little thing against them. So that is sort of my bifurcating what I see on the two sides.
It's actually, that is really interesting to note, though, because they're all totally different positions on DraftKings. Like, literally not one of them shares any overlap at all. So that is different. And, again, like, I do think if there were a chalky one here, and none of them are chalky. I mean, Barnes projects at 10%, Ingram at 7%, Barrett at 15% on DraftKings ownership, Pirtle at 15%. Nobody's like chalky, but I do think, for FanDuel, whoever the chalkiest one, not playing them and rolling the dice on the other ones might not be a bad move, just because of the fact that, like, they really do all eat from the same plate. And if one of them spikes meaningfully, the others come down. Like, that's just kind of how it's going to go. I expect it to be Barnes. It's usually the one that kind of is creating that push-pull, but it could be anybody in a given night because they all have like 25% usage rates. Agreed.
So hopefully I'm displaying the ownership page here, but you can see right now, Ingram, 34%, Barrett 31%, and then Barnes is down just a little bit, but he's got the significantly higher salary. So he would be the guy, per what Spags is saying, he'd be the guy you might want to go after.
Perhaps to be contrarian, always a thought process here, but I think for Barnes, he's legitimately the best player out of that group. But you have to pay up for it for sure.
Yep, and we can look and see here on the boom bust. Let's see, this is just a DraftKings. They have a slightly positive leverage. If we look over here on FanDuel, we can see that the best positive leverage goes to Barnes. So look at that. The math agrees with Spags. Again, I know I'm going old school. I know I'm showing some of these tools here. All this stuff I'm showing, this is what creates the Stokastic sims, right? These are all technically simulation tools. That's how they were built. There was a lot more computing power that used to have to go into it. Back in the day, we had less dynamic options. Programming has become so much, I don't want to say easier because I know how hard all those guys work, but it's more attainable. So this became the building block of the Sims. So what you're seeing here is just kind of a median projection outcome of what is being simulated thousands and thousands of times. The Sims, you're getting the output of all those simulations. Here, it's just as one number. In the Sims, you're getting a bunch of options. So that is what's key here. But sometimes for those people are wondering, well, what's the sim? Simulation has a ton going into it that an optimizer doesn't. Essentially, all an optimizer was doing is just finding the best fantasy points per dollar per position, and then you were setting parameters or boosting someone or nerfing them, or all the fun terms that we've come up with here in the DFS world. Here, the Sims is doing a lot of that for you, building it out. Then you get your set of lineups, and you do those same nerfing and jumping around and doing whatever, but it's with a static set of up to 10,000, if 25,000 now on NFL Showdown. But we try to make it try to explain it the way 50. Oh, look at that. Well, they can't have the old guy talking about all this stuff, Spags. That's why
you're plugging well. You're not Laffy, who I think is the slickest salesman we got. But you're I would say you're there.
Spags. Now that you mention that, I want to say that we've got some really neat stuff here at Stokastic. You guys, you got to come in. You got to come in here. My DMs are always open. How am I doing?
Yeah, fuck that. Mine are open technically, but they're not really.
Yeah. You go see Laffy. That's Dave Loughran, Laffy on Twitter. No longer Laffy_D. He lost his D. Let's get back here to let's go to the projections. So that was an interesting thing, I thought, in looking at the different sites and something we had seen for a little bit. If we turn our attention over here to the Pacers, last man standing, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard. Those guys look decent, but Toronto has a functional defense. They're not a lockdown defense, but when you have two players that are going to have to do literally everything, it makes things kind of tough. But on this slate, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl does have a nice point per dollar rate, so he's coming into lineups as well. What are you seeing from the Pacers side?
Yeah, I think Robinson-Earl looks the most appealing to me. He did start last game. Now we're losing Neesmith, so I guess you might get Jarris Walker starting, given how they've basically played for one off the court for the other a lot. But it could be anybody starting for the Pacers at this point. They're just kind of throwing shit against the wall and hoping something sticks. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did move things around again. But Robinson-Earl started, played 27 minutes. He also played 27 minutes in a game where it was a blowout, but I think it's worth noting that Siakam only played 31 in that game. So the fact that Robinson-Earl could get to 27, same as Andrew Nembhard has, who is their starting point guard, I think it's a pretty good sign for Robinson-Earl being a part of this rotation. And losing Neesmith, you now need some three-point shooting. And Robinson-Earl not exactly doing that super well this year, only 18% from three. But he is theoretically an unashamed three-point shooter given how he's played in the past. So might be something where they get him out there a little bit more just to spread the floor. Though Jarris Walker is shooting more threes this year. I think there is sort of one of them playing more minutes and the other one losing some minutes is a possibility. But as a value play, I think Robinson-Earl projects pretty well. I'm there a good amount. Got him in 53% of my top 150. The field's at 37. Nembhard is my only other big Pacer stand. Got him a little bit above the field at 31%. Field's at 27. He's been great going back to last year when you take Mathurin, Halliburton, those guys off the court. Now you have that plus even more. And personally, just eye test wise, again, having been invested in Siakam in that last year where I was so stoked to get him at 13%, I just watched him throughout that game. He kind of looks gassed already. Like, it kind of looks like he's had to carry too much of a load, which is crazy given that we are at November 15th, but he has had to carry like a really big load that I don't think he expected to, especially with Nembhard, getting hurt early in the year. Now you have McConnell and Nembhard back in. Doesn't have to quite do as much, but I think Siakam's compelling tournament play because like he really has looked much worse lately across the board. But I think Nembhard, to me, I feel better about right now with his role. He's getting up a 42% assist rate, 27% usage rate. Really great numbers for Andrew Nembhard. Siakam's always going to be Siakam, but maybe the revenge against Toronto, even though it's in Indiana, that could be something. But I think it's really Nembhard and Robinson-Earl for me. What about you?
Yeah, I would agree with. I think we're going to see more rest days for Siakam in the future, just out of preservation. And it's also wild. How is it that everyone on Indiana's gotten hurt that played last year? I mean, obviously Turner did not, and Siakam has not, but they weren't carrying heavy minutes. But the frenetic style of pace, the defense, the ever moving offense. Do you think that caught up with them, or is this just a random? I forget what we call a cluster of injuries randomly.
I think it's possibly just a bad luck cluster. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in terms of like training staff and stuff because, Dallas, there was some of the things that came out with Luka Doncic where they had gotten rid of some of their best trainers and then the team started getting hurt a little bit more. The Niners have also had that issue and actually kind of interesting, talked about it recently where the 49ers in football, basically they now are doing speed tests for guys. And if they don't get up to a previous speed, they won't declare them active even if they pass all their other sort of health checks, which is why Ricky Pearsall is finally back this week for the Niners. Like it took him way longer than you would think for his injury to get back out there. Maybe it's something like that, but I think it's probably just the fact they played the long season last year. And again, for Siakam, like he played that long season and now he's got to do so much more than he ever has in his career. And that does add up to be the number one option with nobody kind of taking pressure off you, like Halliburton for his whatever flaws he may have. He kept these guys clean for the most part, like he did take over in the fourth quarter. Now they just don't have that. And also they're getting their ass kicked in the fourth quarter a lot. Like the Phoenix game is a really pronounced kind of a point chart, but they also just get their ass kicked like throughout a game too.
All right, we're moving on to the Lakers. The Lakers are sitting Marcus Smart tonight. It is a back-to-back, though he did play the second of the back-to-backs, or both games, the second time the Lakers had a back-to-back at the beginning of the month. But I think maybe they're thinking, hey, he doesn't look quite as slow and washed as everybody thought after his first few appearances. Maybe he's an asset. Let's put some bubble wrap around him. We may not need his services tonight, at least in the larger picture. This game is essentially a coin flip. Rui Hachimura is out with a sore calf. He played want to say like 38 minutes or so last night. LeBron is with the G League team, or at least he was practicing with them. He is getting closer to a return, but we don't have to worry about that right now. And then Gabe Vincent out again. Doncic and Reeves played heavy minutes last night. Let's see, it was 35 for Hachimura. You got 36 for DeAndre Ayton. Smart was at 34. Doncic at 40. Reeves at 39. So where I was saying, with SGA, he didn't play last night. He didn't play all the minutes those guys did. Could he do in, his 29 and a half minutes what they may get to in low 30s? Potentially.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. I actually didn't realize that they had played that much last night because I had Reeves a good amount and he paid off well enough. But that is a pretty big ask. And I was thinking about it when we talked about OKC, that again, everybody's going to assume that that game's just an ass kicking, but maybe it is an ass kicking. The ass kicking comes on late and you get SGA, who has no game tomorrow. I had 2 days off or 3 days off this week. He could just go nuts. And then we're talking about the Lakers now, but I do think there is something to the fact that every star on the team is either questionable like Jokic or they played massive minutes last night. So I think there's something to that. That said, Austin Reeves looks great to me. I got him in 60% of my lineups feels at 28. I do think my projection is carrying a little bit more for Austin Reeves because of the fact that he went so nuts at the beginning of the year without Luka Doncic. Hasn't really caught up all the way. He's not going to be that guy super often. But Reeves, going back to last year when you took LeBron off the court, his upside would go up a bunch even when Luka was still on the team. So I'm still cool with Reeves here, who's got on the year a 30% usage rate, 36% assist rate, 1.3 fantasy points per minute. These guys, too, it's not a big sample size for the Lakers, but both Luka and Reeves have played at an ungodly rate with Hachimura off the court. Luka's averaged 2 fantasy points per minute on 42% usage and a 30% assist rate. It's not enough possessions to feel good about. Generally, for basketball, you want 1,000 possessions for the sample size to stabilize. It's only been 120. That's massive numbers for Luka. And same thing for Austin Reeves, court time without Rui Hachimura this year, a 34% usage rate, 37% assist rate, and 1.8 fantasy points per minute. So I think there is risk for sure. The minutes that Emac mentioned, that's really scary. The fact that it's a shortened rotation as well, maybe they just give up earlier is a possibility. But I think for Luka and Reeves, they both have pretty big upside here. And there's some social media stats that are floating around that I didn't pay enough attention to. But Luka and Giannis apparently have always gone pretty hard head-to-head. I don't care about that too much, the DVP portion of it. But it has been a thing where Luka's played pretty well. He plays well without Hachimura, who does take a meaningful amount of shots away. I'm more of a Reeves guy tonight, but I think they both are worth their ownership, even with the risk the minutes might provide.
All righty. It was eye-opening when you start to look at it. What are we using for tiebreakers tonight with only 8 teams in the player pool? How about all these minutes these guys have carried recently? Ayton has been decent this season, I want to say. Appears to be a little bit more motivated, has put up 20 points a few times. He's someone that just generally doesn't take a lot of shots, usually gets a double-double, but 11 points and 10 rebounds is not a glorious double-double, far from a 20-10, but he does have that in his bag. Was there anybody aside from that trio for the Lakers that you would consider?
No, honestly, I thought that maybe getting Marcus Smart out would make somebody pop up a little bit. Ayton is the most interesting one to me. And I didn't mention that he, too, it's, again, a small sample size this year, but he's put up a 30% usage rate without Hachimura. So it does seem like it's basically just going to be the big 3 for the Lakers getting, the most offense here. But I suppose it's possible a Jared Vanderbilt gets out there more. I mean, LaRavia is still priced up for the few games he had when everybody was hurt for the Lakers. So I think it's hard to play him at this point. Literally a 3.7x value for me at 27 minutes. So I don't think you can go that way on DraftKings at the very least. Dalton Connect, I feel like looks okay in some lineups, and he is projected to get 23 minutes from Stokastic. So maybe, but honestly, nobody looks that good. If you're going to play narrative stuff, there was talk about Bronny, they wanted him to be more of a defensive stopper. Maybe you try to get him out there more with Marcus Smart out. But I really don't firmly believe that in any sort of way. I think it really is the big 3 or bust. But it does feel like somebody should look good for the Lakers with the amount of guys they have out.
Yeah, I would probably hand that to LaRavia, I guess. But as we turn our attention to the Bucks, they have their strength is their front court. Giannis makes everybody look good. Giannis is just insane. He's leading the league in 2-pointers made, 2-pointers attempted for his 4th consecutive season. His rebounds and assists are basically at or close to personal best. He's leading the league in scoring right now. I think it's 33.4 points a game. That's a personal high as well. What was the last number? Oh, you know who's number 2 in a lot of the key categories? Ryan Rollins. And then there's nobody else on this team. It's scary. It's scary, Spags. So Rollins is sort of your tweener for these. Giannis is, of course, the go-to guy. But if anybody is going to get a bit of a break early, it's going to be Giannis. And frankly, I was a little surprised he's playing tonight, but I'll take it.
I think Jokic is a better play on paper to me by a decent margin. I mean, projection-wise, Stokastic has Jokic by about 5 over him. I would have Jokic by about 7.5 over him. I think for Giannis, the hope that you're getting here, and look, he'll be decently played. It looks like 31% expected ownership for Giannis. Like it's not sneaky by any stretch. But I do think, to me, I'd rather just roll the dice on the Q tag with Jokic, see what we get there. If that keeps the ownership in check even more, great. I don't think Giannis is like a bad play, but I think to Emac's point a little bit, Ryan Rollins is like playing fairly well. He's not taking a Lillard amount of usage away or anything. But like between Rollins putting up a 22% usage rate this year, shooting pretty well, I would say unsustainably well. It's 65% true shooting, which should come down a little bit, but he's like shooting incredibly well to start the year. And Miles Turner being decent, Portis still in the mix. Kuzma's usage has been up a little bit this year. Cole Anthony in the second unit gets a lot of shots up. I just haven't been playing as much Giannis this year as a lot of the people have. So I think for me, just to put the priors out there, that's it. But I'm a little bit low on Giannis, getting him at 20%, Fields at 31. Rollins I like a lot more, getting him at 50%, Fields at 29 and change. I'd rather play Jokic is really what it comes down to for me with Giannis, and I'd rather play Jokic than Luka too, for whatever that's worth.
I am on board with both of those assessments here. Let's hit our 4th game here, and then I'm going to circle back and see what chats we have. We'll do breaking news. Maybe we'll talk about something like Tails. Did you guys know we have another offering here? It is called Tails. Tails.bet. You can also get this as an app. Plenty of free content. It is breaking down the pick'em sites, wagers, across the social sites, across all of the main operators. It's telling you where the boosts are, how to use them. A lot of free content. We also have premium content. You can get Ben Rasa put some free stuff out there, but he has his own channel and gives out all the goods on college basketball, college football, and other obscure sports, including soccer. Now, soccer's not obscure, but you know what is? Third level, league from Egypt or something. And he's making bets on stuff like that. So that is a good way to enhance your different sports knowledge and opportunities. That sort of allows you to hedge your DFS wagering. And a lot of times the player props and things like that, that's kind of the old DFS cash games, right? You find those little edges, you take advantage of them. It's hard to find edges anymore, especially in head-to-head basketball, because everybody's running the same lineup and the same optimizer. Football, you have a chance for a couple months, but even that's getting tight in those streets. But this is another way to get stuff. The only thing this costs you, and it's a nominal cost, it's even some would say voluntary, but leave a rating and a review when you download this app. It helps us so much in the algorithm to be recommended to other people getting this app. We've got leaderboards. We've got different ways to turn on and off notifications. We're putting a ton of development dollars behind this, but we want to make sure it's going to keep growing and keep getting out there, so we keep making that investment. Give that investment to us. Just a minute to rate us, give us a review. I promise you it is worth its weight in gold to us. Help us out with that. All right, final game of the night. Well, final game we're going to talk about.
Well, actually, Emac, before we get to that, real fast, not to cut you off, but we did just get the Pacers starters, and it is Jarris Walker starting, which the chat's pointing out. So that might mean a projection change coming up here. But
hey, and we'll get to that, guys, when we have time, because if we spend 10 minutes on this game, we got 15 minutes to do whatever you want.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it out there so we don't get it a million times in chat. But yes, Jarris Walker starting. Like I mentioned before, he does play a lot for Neesmith, so not unexpected here, but I think he may get a minute or two more than the 25.5 he has currently.
Okay, cool. And that also means we Ooh, did we get any? We'll wait and see if we got any.
We got Jokic on track to play too, which
okay.
So maybe stop trying to plan to pivot around that for anybody out there.
There we go. So let's hit on Denver. So Denver has lost Christian Braun. Sorry, Ryan Braun, third baseman. Outfielder for the Milwaukee Brewers. Baseball is my first love, guys. All right, come on.
Is Ryan Braun still in the league?
Oh God, no. He and remember his story. He had somehow got away with storing, or he claimed that the person who took his tainted urine specimen or steroid specimen stored it in their personal fridge overnight, and that broke the chain of custody because someone could have snuck into some random person's house.
I mean, it's baseball. That doesn't mean that he's out of the league, but I just don't know how old he is. I feel like he could have been one of those power guys that hangs around until he's like 40, just because you got to still have enough bat speed maybe to keep it over the fence.
Yeah, I think he played till late 30s, but it kind of fell out around the pandemic, and the pandemic has messed up everybody's timeline in their head. So 2020, remember, that was the year the Denver Broncos had to start a wide receiver, a quarterback. That was a long time ago. Spags.
Yeah, you're right. You are dead on. Last year was 2020, and he is in fact 41 now. So there you go.
There we go. Why do I know that? Because it's baseball.
Actually, Emac, here's one to know. His birthday's coming up in 2 days. So if you want to thank him for any DFS wins you had back in the day, you can send him a card.
There we go. All righty. So Christian Braun going to be out for a while. Cam Johnson is dealing with the strained bicep. He is out. We don't know who is going to start yet, but we are expecting quite a few of the bench players to get elevated. It's in their playing time and opportunities. Bruce Brown, is it Strother? Is it Watson? What's going to happen with, Aaron Gordon? Is he going to get some more opportunities here? Will he take them? Yes, if the team needs him to, but otherwise he's going to keep doing the dirty work because that's what the team likes him to do. And then Jamal Murray. Of everybody out there, I really like non-Jokic categories. I like Jamal Murray tonight just because he has really done a very nice job over the last couple seasons now that he's finally been healthy. And I think he's in a nice price point tonight that no one's going to be overlooked on an 18-player pool, but he is someone that I think could end up being a little bit underrepresented. So he's the guy I like. The guy we all love, Nikola Jokic. Just when you thought he couldn't get any better, Spags, what happens? He gets better. How is that even possible? 13.1 rebounds per game, second most of his career, leading the league, I believe, or close to it. His 10.9 assists per game, also a career high. That is leading the league. And he is scoring like he always does. This is just absolutely nuts. And he's playing a little bit less than he has in prior years. So the Mr. Efficiency has gotten even more efficient. So this should not be possible. I hand this knowledge over to you. Or I hand these results over to you. Explain them.
Look, Jokic has been great. I don't think it's any hot take to say that, but this year too, the efficiency, like Emac mentioned, has been up. He's over a 53%, or he's at a 53% assist rate, averaging 1.86 fantasy points a minute. And then, the last game for the Nuggets was them trying to let Jokic score as much as he wanted to kind of get the defense. Or it was a couple games ago with the Clippers. And it's like, well, he did it and it didn't help. So I think for Jokic, that's where we are now, is that teams are just literally letting him score at will and trying to stop the other guys. That's been the way people have tried to stop Jokic a little bit over the last couple of years, but even that's not working now. The fact that Jokic projected for 7% ownership, I think, seems crazy to me. I imagine that's going to come up now that there is some stability around him playing here. But I was getting him 5x to field in my top 150 before that. I think he looks particularly strong here. He also has some rates going back to last year. Court time, obviously Cam Johnson's only been there for a little bit, but court time going back to last year without Brown, without Michael Porter Jr., and without having as well Cam Johnson, he's averaged 1.99 fantasy points a minute in that amount of time. Similar usage rates, similar assist rates as he's had right now. I think he's a good play. The issue always with Jokic to me is when he's chalky. That feels like that's when Jamal Murray has the outlier day. But like Emac mentioned, Jamal Murray's been really good this year as well. Last year, I wasn't super impressed with him. This year, he's up to 1.2 fantasy points per minute, good usage, a good assist rate at 25%. He's also shooting above league average at 59% true shooting, which for Jamal Murray is great to see that he's like playing well again. I think that the Nuggets, to me, I mean, I'm getting all these guys Emacs. I just keep talking about them, but Jokic and Murray look really good. Gordon looks good to me. I'm above the field on him. Tim Hardaway Jr., I'm a little bit low on, but he looks okay. Did start the second half last game when some of the injuries started to pile up. So I think he should be the starter for Denver today. And Stokastic has him for 31 minutes today. So it seems like that's the assumption as well. But you could also play Jonas Valanciunas as the backup. He comes up a lot in the Stokastic sim. I think half the lineups around him just Stokastic data. He's in those. I feel like Denver, to me, Mac, is like the team of the night here. And it's tough to say that because Minnesota is, historically a pretty good defense. This year, more close to league average with a 114.5 defensive efficiency rating. But, I think Denver just missing two of your key wing guys, it just feels like everybody's going to produce a little bit more, assume they don't get smoked somehow.
So we just got all projections updated. Tim Hardaway Jr. is the most popular player on DraftKings, 43%. That's of anybody in the player pool. Jonas Valanciunas coming up on 31.5% of the lineups at 3,500. Again, wonky slate, but that is centers are always going to be the better fantasy point per dollar plays, and he does have a decent carve out in his role. So that is fun to see. If we turn our attention over here to FanDuel, let's filter on Jamal Murray is the top player in the entire player pool at 46.3%, and then Aaron Gordon is fourth. So a little bit different on the two sites, but that is just going to show that it helps with Denver missing two starters here. Again, I think we're going to see some fluidity there with who ends up being in the starting lineups. I wouldn't let that worry you too much. I mean, hey, it could be Tim Hardaway Jr. I think he's going to play closer to like 28 minutes. He's almost 33, but he could start, right? Or do they want that offense with the second unit? We'll have to find out. Do they go with Strother or Watson? Who knows? Is it Bruce Brown? Broken down Bruce Brown. Does he recapture the Magic now that they actually need him again here in Denver to cover for two other guys? He could end up in the starting lineup. So it's going to be fungible. And then I think the mixing and matching of the rotations is going to be situational because it's not easy taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves here. So I wouldn't be too worried about who's starting or not starting. This is almost, but not quite an all hands on deck situation. It's the usual 9 guys in the rotation, missing 2 on deck situation.
I mean, I think the starters, again, I'll put it out there. My guess would be, because we had the second half and I just looked it up to make sure that it was both guys out, but Brown got hurt in that game. Johnson also got hurt in that game. Johnson got hurt a little bit earlier. Second half starters were Jokic, Gordon, Murray, no surprises there. THJ and Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones is a guy that people love in Denver. I've heard him talked about on some of the basketball podcasts. I feel like Zach Lowe might have had some conversation about him lately. Plays really good defense, does not shoot even a little bit. So it just seems like whoever they're going to give more minutes to, and there's no guarantee that that's the same starters here as Jones and Hardaway Jr. But I think THJ is going to start because Bruce Brown, Peyton Watson off the bench, that makes sense to me. Spencer Jones starting, I'm less confident in, but the fact he's a defender who's going to go after it pretty hard and the team seems to like him and all that, I feel like that's the kind of guy you put out there, and he just does the defensive version of what a Brown or Cam Johnson does, but probably none of the shooting at all.
All right, last call out. Look at the stark difference for Jonas Valanciunas on FanDuel, where you have to give up the center spot, 3.2%. So again, a lot of differences between the sites tonight. Let's get on to Minnesota here. Let's just highlight them, and then we can take questions and have some other fun stuff. I'll start building out the Sims on screen here as soon as we're done talking about this. Anthony Edwards, one of the top 3 most popular plays right now on Minnesota, in the slate, and the highest projected popularity for the team. I think that makes a lot of sense. Julius Randle following up there. Those are the 2 guys I like the most. I'm a little bit more ambivalent towards Naz Reid, though I do understand getting him on with the 8-game player pool here, or probably 8-team player pool. But I definitely like him better than Gobert. I like Dante DiVincenzo a tiny bit better than Reid, even with the salary, but it's not that they're not that far off when you look at this here. Those are the main guys I like to look at. Jaden McDaniels is okay. We need him to take on that additional. We need him to take more shots. If he's going to take 12 to 15 shots, he can be a 40 fantasy point guy, no problem. If he's happy to take 10 or 11, gets a little more iffy here. He can score. I don't even want to say a capable scorer, but we've seen him turn it on each of the last couple playoffs. It's just he will defer, especially without Nickeil Alexander-Walker there, because now he has had to ratchet up his defense even more than he did in the last couple of years. What is your take on the Timberwolves? And if I disappear, it's because my RAM is running out. I'm going to start running the Sims for DraftKings here.
I was going to ask you. I was going to have a fun bit here, Emac. I was going to ask you about a guy that Jaden McDaniels might remind me of. So before you crash your computer, who could you think of that's like Jaden McDaniels last couple of years, where he was a really good defender on a championship caliber team, and he ended up going somewhere else to get more usage, but it didn't quite pan out the way that he wanted it to?
Bruce Brown Jr.?
Jeremy Grant is what I'm thinking of, where he was on Denver and like he was like the forgotten man, like great defender and all that.
He just quit defending for so long and just wants to shoot. I forgot how good of a defender he was in Denver. He was even good back in the process days. He was in Philadelphia in that time frame. God, you're right. And plus, dad and uncle played in the league. So
yeah. And for McDaniels, I think he's really good. I think he's a great defender. On the year, he's also got 66% true shooting. And I know we're have to see stats sometimes without giving the context. Like true shooting league average is like 58% and change. I guess like 58.5 might be it. So the fact that he's shooting that well, can hit threes, can shoot from the floor fairly well, can hit his free throws, can defend really 1 to 5. He's really talented. I'm saying this, I'm above the field on him. That's not the reason why, but I'm getting 21%. The field's at 14. I like him a lot. He's a good shooter. And when the shots don't flow all entirely to Ant or flow to Randall, that's where McDaniel steps in a little bit more. He's generally a better play to me when you get Ant off. If you get Ant and Randall off, play Jaden McDaniels on those slates. But really, he is a good player, like Emac mentioned. I think on this slate, kind of a tournament option as well, where he'll play some quality defense, might get some takeaways, maybe gets a few more shots up because the Nuggets defense should be fairly competent. Actually, the Nuggets right now playing like one of the best defenses in basketball. So I think that can be something that maybe gets the ball to McDaniels a little bit more. But look, the options here that you really want are the ones that are going to be deeply owned, like Anthony Edwards, like Julius Randle. I am above the field on Randle, lower than the field on Anthony Edwards by a decent amount. But I think that McDaniels is playable. I think Naz Reid is playable on the slate. 5,100, not the greatest price tag in the world, but he's power forward center, and he does have upside in his 24 or so projected minutes that Stokastic has. But Minnesota, really a team that I usually don't like to play a lot of because it feels like lately, especially, they've been priced for life without Anthony Edwards, and now he's back in. But today, they're coming up a little bit for me, and the total for this game is the highest on the slate. It's not a big slate, but there could be a game stack option here if you can make that work.
Did someone say game stack? Oh, now we're talking. All right. I have built out my lineups here. I'm putting 2 uniques. I'm building 50 lineups. We'll do 150 on FanDuel, but I play 50 on DraftKings. I changed it to 15% to first, and I took it a tick to the left of the marquee settings because I'm playing for some smaller contests tonight in addition to 2 or 3 of the mini maxes. Wow, Tim Hardaway Jr., 76%. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, 66. Jonas at 60, all massively above the rest of the field. Let's see where, who is it? Jokic. I was going to type Joncic, and I'm like, who the hell is that? It'd be one hell of a player if they were combined, but there we go. So 20% over the field, a little bit over the field. I like that. So I'm going to start adjusting things just a little bit here to tweak some things down a little bit. Let's go 70% here for Hardaway Jr. Do you really think Jeremiah Robinson Earl should be on 2/3 of my lineups?
I think his salary is really important to get the high upside players in. So
yeah, that is true. And power forward eligibility. That helps a lot too. I do think that like Jarris Walker is a very live leverage play against him with that ownership. But I think in terms of like how a sim works, and if you're playing a couple mini maxes, Emac, I think you want to be getting more than not of Robinson Earl. Brandon Carlson. Let's go, Brandon, but only at 20%.
That's reasonable. If any bench guys like that, I usually don't like to play more than 25.
Bruce Brown. Has the magic been lost?
See, I think he's your Tim Hardaway Jr. pivot. So I would not cut his exposure at all because I do think Hardaway Jr. So last game, Hardaway Jr., like we mentioned, started the second half when Brown and Johnson went out. Then he didn't get a second stint in that game. They had the starters come back in, and it was Bruce Brown and Peyton Watson who picked up a lot of the closing let's call it closing minutes, even though it was a blowout. Closing minutes for Cam Johnson and Brown and Christian Brown. So I think that Bruce Brown and Peyton Watson would be your Hardaway Jr. pivots, at least especially Bruce Brown.
All right. And so what I'm going to show you guys here, I did not get in. Look at that. No Jamal Murray with my latest change. I want Jamal Murray. I want to be above the field. I'm just going to boost 25%. Now, all this is doing is he's the only player I'm boosting. It's just giving a 20% ROI boost to any lineup that has him. So it's not changing the lineups. It's just elevating them here. So we can see that lineup popped up all of a sudden. Got another one there, a couple more there. So let's see how much that did give me. I'd be okay with like 20% maybe. Oh, 24%. Perfect. I also want to see how did that change some of my other players here. It's made Jonas Valanciunas be the top guy. I'm going to cap him at 60 just because I don't want too much. But you can see I'm getting ample representation from some of these. I'm going to take Austin Reeves back just a little bit there. Same thing with Nemhard. Just there's just not enough people on that team to be difference makers, in my opinion. But I'm going to go with what this is, and then I'll kick off my FanDuel ones here. Oops, I don't want to download it.
That up real fast in the chat. People shitting on Jeremiah Robinson Earl. The guy played 27 minutes last game in a blowout, guys. And he didn't play blowout run. He played all starter minutes, and then he lost Aaron Nesmith. So I get if you don't like Robinson Earl. I get we've been in spots before. I remember on the Pelicans where he was super chalky and he did absolutely nothing. I fully understand here, but for this Indiana stint that Robinson Earl has had so far this year, he's averaging a respectable 0.83 fantasy points per minute. He's shooting absolutely terribly, 44% true shooting, but all the Pacers are shooting terribly, so I don't think you can hold that against him. Again, I get the hate, but you got to be a little more name blind here. I think Emac knows the great blender. Jordan Cooper at one point mentioned, if you're just playing the players and they were literally a number, would you not want to play Robinson Earl? He'd be one of the best values on the slate if you take the name off. So Emac, I'm going full circle where you're referencing other old DFS player, but really I become Jordan Cooper. It's just fucking play the good play. For the love of God, guys.
Play whoever you want. I don't care if they're all good plays. Play them. Play whoever you want.
But yeah, it's he played a lot of minutes, so I think that's the main thing. He played a lot of minutes. The rotation is now shorter, and the game's as competitive, I guess, as that Phoenix one was.
Jordan Cooper, the theory of DFS. Shout out to him. He is now he's back playing live poker in the poker rooms. He's
a character. He loves wrestling too. I think he's an interesting guy. I don't know him super well personally, but anybody that cares that much about DFS and tries to give people game theory as much as Jordan Cooper has, I'll always get some flowers from me. Got a super chat here too.
I'm going to kick off FanDuel here for those of you watching the screen.
So we got Jeff Williams here. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you, Jeff. With all the injuries with the Pacers, any of the centers are good plays. Bradley, Jackson, and Huff. No, I don't think so. I don't think any of them gets over 20.
No, I mean, the only way Huff's going to get there is if he gets 4 blocks. He'll probably have at least 2 tonight because that seems to be what he does. But he doesn't do much else. And even if you go look at his minutes logs, it's mid-teens on his best nights. Again, no stone unturned on this slate. Good God, I'm playing Brendan Carlson and Jonas Valanciunas. So far be it from me to besmirch Mr. Huff. But
and if Robinson Earl is terrible, and also I would say Jarris Walker is terrible and just breaking everything, maybe get Huff out there because they just need somebody that can stretch the floor even the vaguest amount. But I don't think he's guaranteed to play a lot. I mean, he played 14 minutes last game because he also played 10 minutes of blowout action. So I don't think Jay Huff would be the guy. And the other two are only playing 18 minutes. So just not enough time out there.
Yeah. All right. Let's get that put away. Yeah. Oh, but back to, let's talk about Blender. He's one guy I never had a chance to meet. Our paths we did not overlap at Roto Grinders, but during the pandemic, I think it was during the pandemic when Dean, Sports Almanac Dean, 7890210, if you want to get all technical, he did an interview with a bunch of different people. I don't remember if you were on it, but I was on it. Blender was on it. He just did a series of everybody during the pandemic. And the one thing I didn't know about Blender, and then I got a huge question for you. The one thing I didn't know about Blender is he started out as, he was a comedian. I knew that, but he also was in some sort of punk rock band in the New York underground area. He said, we weren't great. I think he might have even been the singer. But I was like, God, this guy's had one very intriguing journey to end up with DFS. So
yeah, I mean, look, I still think I've got the best one, but there's a lot of interesting people in the space, and I always like seeing people too, where like all you guys that just love gambling, and especially content creators that love gambling, and that's all they do. Great, but I do think there is something to having other passions, other things you've enjoyed. Our pal Fast Eddie Fear, same thing with gaming and stuff like that for him. Like I like to know what the guys like besides the gambling, because we all have the gambling in common. What else do you got? What else do you bring to the table?
Indeed. TJ McConnell coming up on 55% of my FanDuel lineups. I was not expecting that. We have him at 23%. He is someone I am ardently, fervently against at all costs, because I don't think he ever plays more than 24 minutes. What do we have him in here for? What do you think about TJ McConnell here?
The minutes I don't think are there enough, which would be my concern point. He has been getting some usage up, but he played 15 minutes last game. The game before that, I believe, was 11 all first half. So he went up 4 minutes game to game, I guess, which would be a positive.
We have him for 18 right now. I'm knocking him down to 20%, just matching the field because of the way the slate is, but I want no part of that.
Yeah, he's been getting the usage up pretty well, 30% usage rate so far, and I think the 2 games he's played, 23% assist rate. That'll get better, hopefully, if these guys start hitting some shots. But yeah, I think McConnell would like to see him be a little bit cheaper, but I thought about playing him on whatever the Thursday slate was. There's only 3 games. I was like, I take the shot here, and like then I looked at minutes. Like I don't think he gets high enough. I still feel like it doesn't get high enough, but he's absolutely going to break a slate soon, and you might just be on time if you get it, today.
All right. Thank you. You did get our one super chat here. Let's see what anybody else has to say in the chat. I'm downloading my FanDuel. I'm going to upload that real quick here. Anything terrifying? Did we miss anything, Spags? Did we overlook anything, at least before the games tip off?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we know the starters we need to know. Jokic is on pace, and he's not the kind of guy I think that's on pace to play and doesn't play. There's just not a lot of bullshit with Jokic, I think, in general, that he abides or gives out. So I think we're okay here. I think for me, I mean, honestly, this is a tough slate. I would say for anybody out there that's struggling to build lineups, because I had to play a lot of guys that I don't feel I'd say the best about, like Jamal Shed. My guy Doug in the chat mentioned I played Jamal Shed in a couple of my lineups tonight. I feel good about playing Jamal Shed because I just don't want to play anybody else at 3,700. But you're going to probably play some guys. Diabate for me came up a little bit more than I would have liked. Robinson Earl, I'm not stoked about, but he played pretty good minutes last time out. It's one of the slates where I think you have to play some dog shit to get the players you want to get, and that's just the way it goes.
Yes, indeed. I've got some heavy ownership here to Jamal Murray, Ingram, and Reeves. Ingram I'll be stuck with because that's going to be a lock. I'm okay with it. This is my FanDuel. I'm probably going to back off Reeves just a little bit here. But the rest of it I'm fine with. I made sure to get the players I want. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. You know what you guys should feel pretty good about tomorrow? All day football. Starting at 9 o'clock, you're going to get Josh Engelman breaking down I believe the game is in Spain.
Madrid. Yeah.
So that will be fun. I automatically think Germany or England. This will be, I believe, the first game in Spain, at least for the NFL. It is, who is it?
Commanders and Dolphins.
Dolphins. That was the team I couldn't remember. I had Atlanta stuck in my mind, but you'll get that at 9 o'clock. At 9:30, the lineup building show goes back to Greg. 10 o'clock, you're going to get the deeper dive with Ben Rossa and Dave Loughran. You guys know him best as Laffy. They will be breaking down game by game the main portion of the slate. Then at 10:30, you're going to get the one and only Chris Spags along with Eric Lindquist, who has been playing hooky for a couple days here. For him and Greg, I swear to God, work every single day. So those guys.
I work every single day, Emac.
As do I, but hey, we're handing out flowers here. We're handing out flowers.
No, they deserve flowers too. I just want my flower. Give me flowers.
Well, you are splash play. We're getting to that in a minute there, buddy. So you get Spags and Lindy tomorrow up through NFL kickoff. And then at 7:30, it's Sunday Night Football. It's live before lock. Your old pal and Greg Ehrenberg breaking down Sunday Night Football. It's going to be a fun one. Plus, we've got NBA intermixed as well. And you guys can find Spags if you want nothing but Spags. He's got, before his OnlyFans account, before his Barstool OnlyFans account, he does show a little leg over there on the Splash Play channel. Tell the people where they can find you, and we will get on out of here.
Yeah, check out if you want to get some Week 11 football takes from me, my @SplashPlay pod channel is a good one for that. Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. I also do an NBA video every day on my @SplashPlay Bets channel. But check them out. I like to bring more perspective. I show you guys sims. I show you my data for NBA. I think there's good stuff if you check out my content. And I'm working 7 days a week. The chat knows. But it's we're all working 7 days a week here. I feel like at this point, the NFL, NBA crossover. If you do both sports, you're just dying a little bit inside. I think that's how it goes.
It is a painful time period. It truly is.
My brain hurts every day.
Yeah, we only have into December, into January, so 2 more full months of this. We've got 7, well, counting tomorrow, 8 weeks of the regular season, because we got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then we have 3 weeks of playoffs prior to the Super Bowl. So lots and lots of content. And you know what's happening shortly? A boatload of primetime games. Thursday night football on steroids because it's Thanksgiving. Black Friday football. We're going to add a couple extra Monday games in here. Oh, there's a Christmas slate, both for the NBA and the NFL. Oh, family, friends, I'll see you guys in March.
We'll get through it one by. I mean, Emac, with your hot streaks right now, you're winning thousands of dollars on showdown slates. You're ready. You're saying bring them all on. Emac's gonna be scooping you guys left and right now. So watch out for this, man.
Enjoy the heaters while they last, because they do not last, and you never know when they're going to happen next. Hit that like button on the way out of here. You guys can find Chris Spags on Twitter @Chris Spags. You can find me @Emac DFS, and it is now Stokastic on Twitter. With that, gamers,